did they know? Because that's exactly what took place. Hamas went into the Israel that day knowing they can't beat the IDF. They went in that day knowing that the IDF would come after the hostages. They went in that day knowing that they were going to use their own civilians on top of legitimate military targets in an effort to increase civilian casualties, their civilian casualties. And yet they knew that Western media and academia would back their play and make a false moral equivalency argument. The question that you got to start asking yourself, if you're serious about this, how did they know they could trust left-wing academia and media to back their play? How did they know?
Good evening. 1 year ago today, a terrorist group stormed into Israel and massacred many civilians, men, women, and children. Gutted dogs, firebombed cars, and like Nick Freitas said in that short that preceded this, they knew exactly how to play their hand. And he posed the question, how is it that the liberal media and academia would take their side? My answer, and I'm sure many other people will agree, is that the left has always been an organized terrorist group. Nothing more than terrorists. They play the humanitarian card when it actually fits their narrative. But the reality is, if it doesn't actually take make them money, if it doesn't actually give them more power in dividends, the liberal will never lift a finger to help anybody. It's all lip service. It's always been lip service. We see this in real time when we go into the urban areas of our states. In this case, in downtown Vancouver, the Portland metro area, for me, where you literally have these tent cities that go for miles. They get cleaned up. The authorities just move them to another spot until people realize where they're at and start complaining again. The truth is, they have never actually lifted a finger to help these people. Throwing money at a drug addict is never going to help them. In fact, all it does is make it worse. Because when you are jonesing for the next fix, and given money that, yeah, maybe it was supposed to go toward rent or a hotel room for a couple nights. It's just going to go for the drug of choice. And the liberals know that. They want these people to stay addicted to whatever they're addicted to, because they want them to be coming to their service sites for services that don't actually help them, such as methadone clinics, where you're literally just trading one addiction to another. Hamas knew flat out that if they played the card of Israel killing women and children, even though they were putting their own citizens in the same vicinity as valid military targets, that they would be painted as the victim. Why? Because from the liberal point of view, if I have to lift a finger to actually make any effort to research, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just believe what the information lords are telling me and go about my day. Some people justify that as they've got jobs, they don't have time to actually do the research. No. I don't buy that for a second, and here's why. With modern technology and the fact that most employers are okay with you listening to whatever podcast, audiobook, music, news station that you want to listen to, as long as you're doing your job and nobody else can hear it. There is absolutely no reason that they can't do their research. They just refuse to. So they go into the fight ignorant. They go into the fight enraged because their information lords have actually told them to go into the fight enraged. The conservative is not interested in helping Palestine. To be honest, I'm not. I honestly believe that everything that they've gotten for the past year is more than justified. I do not understand why Israel has not nuked them. I would have nuked them in the first day. And all of the liberal arguments fall short for me because of the fact that Palestine has always been historically a nomadic tribe. Throughout the Bible and into modern history, that never claimed land for themselves. It was the UN that decided to chop up Israel's land and give it to Palestine, just like they did with Russia and Ukraine. My question to you is, who gives the UN any kind of authority to redraw borderlines for one country to another? I mean, if they tried doing that with the U.S., we would probably nuke the building with everybody in it. So, why the double standard? And why is it okay for people to just accept that what the UN says is gold? I personally think the UN is just a bunch of thugs that should have never existed in the first place. But that's neither here nor there. We have a media in this country that has been given the responsibility and the position to actually control another man's thoughts. And that needs to change. I put all kinds of blame on modern media for every mass shooting that has happened in America since Columbine. I put 100% responsibility on mainstream media for all of those shootings. And the reason being, they always happen in a liberal setting. It's always a Democrat-run city. It's always a Democrat state, or one or the other. With a Democrat city, with a Democrat state, you have a lot of people all around you that are listening to the Communist News Network, that are listening to Microsoft's abomination, the overused stale tampons on The View, that actually believe that Kamala Harris has any chance of being a decent president, even though she was never a decent anything. But I put 100% responsibility on the State of the Union at this point, on the common American that refuses to actually lift a finger and call out the media when they catch them in a lie, when they actually say that Kamala Harris was a decent district attorney, or a good attorney general for California. She barely passed the bar in California, which is the lowest standard for the United States Bar Association in the United States. In other words, in every other state in the Union, she literally failed. But the left says that Donald Trump lied about that. No, he didn't lie, because in most most situations of academia, a D is a failing grade. And she didn't even get that. She got a D minus, which is an F. But we don't have people around that actually want to look things up, actually want to do the research for themselves. So our country is held hostage by these woke zombies, woke talking heads on the left that are counting on the fact that the masses are lazy, stupid pieces of garbage that are nothing more than trailer trash. And that's how they view us. Make no mistake. That's exactly how they view us. So prove them wrong. Never again should there ever be a Democrat in office. Not after the last 4 years. I'm Anatoly Anatolisva, and this is Patriots Must Rise. Please, like and subscribe. Another point. Okay, on another note, we've all heard about and seen the images of the ongoing storms on the East Coast. What is not forgivable is the fact that the Biden-Harris administration has thrown money out at Ukraine, at a bunch of terrorist groups, and most of all, illegal immigrants that don't even belong here. And now when our country actually needs the money, they're not going to put up the money because the money is earmarked for liberal causes, and that's just the way it is. Essentially, we're going to replace you. People that actually work for a living, have worked all their lives to build up American society, are replaceable by immigrants that the Democrat Party is hoping will be controlled. They're hoping that they can convince them to vote in the upcoming elections for their party. They're hoping that they can raise armies with the youth of these illegal scumbags that refuse to actually learn English and go through the process to do the legal work that is required to become a citizen. Instead, they refuse to learn English. They refuse to integrate into American society, and are working very hard to destroy American society. Now, keep in mind, these are not bigoted words. You cannot have a secure society, a stable foundation for a society, if you have no bedrock in traditions, if you have no bedrock in common languages, if you have no foundation in morality. Here's where the problem lies with the liberal outlook on immigration. If you have no border, you have no country. The only reason that we have a United States of America is because a bunch of men, just a little bit younger than I am, got together and decided to sign a document that says, "Y Pueblo, we the people of the United States of America," in an effort to create a more perfect union to establish. And it goes on to the rest of the Constitution. There was such resistance to actually creating this union that a series of letters were put out in different publications across the colonies. By John Jay, Alexander Hamilton, and John Adams. These letters became known as the Federalist Papers. And throughout the Federalist Papers, an argument came up about what the true purpose of federalizing the government is. All three men made it very clear that the only reason for the federal government is to come together, for the states to come together and protect the borders, specifically along the Atlantic Ocean. Because it was the Atlantic Ocean that presented the biggest threat at the time. There was this huge, vast wilderness along the west side that basically made a impenetrable fortress, but they were vulnerable by sea. Now our enemies come from the south, invading daily by the millions, refusing to learn our languages, and raping, robbing, and squatting in in our homes. How long are we going to put up with this? How long are we going to allow these people that some of us made the mistake of electing to live without being punished? This is a completely crowdfunded podcast. At this point, there's a QR code that is up in the corner. Please scan it. It makes a gateway to a way to donate. And that would be much appreciated. I know times are hard. Times are hard for everybody. I myself am on disability, so I understand. Until next time, live free, die well, and love your neighbor as Christ has loved you.